Hi everyone, I'm EJ from EJ Pro Academy. Today I'd like to share with you 10 strategies that I developed based on my experiences as a test taker for the past 5 years, taking the new SAT reasoning test 44 times, and also analyzing all the SAT released exams and practice tests that College Board provided for the past 20 years. So what are those 10 strategies? Those are very simple. AS, BS, CS, DS, ES, FS, NS, OS, TS, and VS. So as you see, very simple, right? Now, but these are very crucial when you do SAT questions. First one is AS, all those sisters. Yeah, you want to see these sisters, and because when you see these sisters in analyzing passages, you will see these sisters actually signal key ideas that the author tried to get across. So you want to pay extremely close attention to these words, all those sisters, AS. So what are those words? But, yet, however, while, whereas, though, even if, nonetheless, nevertheless, in spite of, despite, with all, for all. So when you see these words, you want to pay attention to the sentences because those sentences do convey the author's main ideas clearly. All right. Now let's take a look at 2 passages, and let's do 2 questions by applying my first rule, AS, to these, analyzing these passages. First one, American writers Henry Adams and Samuel Clemens gradually approached during their careers a mood of total despair. Personal tragedies have been set forth to explain this development. The death of loved ones, the humiliation of family bankruptcies, these certainly are contributory causes. Right, these are certainly contributory causes, but, so we see AS, but. Now, here comes the main idea. But the writings of Adams and Clemens reveal that the despair is in a slow process of incubation from their earliest work, and that is finally hatched by the growing political discourse, moral conflicts, and economic problems of their age. Yes, his personal problems are very important, but what is more important is the political discourse, moral conflicts, and economic problems. How do we know that? And here comes the idea, but. And we pay attention to AS, then we see the main idea clearly. And the author very kindly provides the second AS, but again. And we see definitely the main idea. So it is not a despair of personal bereavement, but of country and ultimately of humanity that manifests itself in their works. So those masterpieces were actually based on the social problems. All right, now let's take a look at the next passage. Passage 2. The bankruptcy of Samuel Clemens, the death of his daughter, and chronic illness of his wife are agonizing as a personal history. Our interest, however, is in the works that came out of these disasters. Literary critics are usually unable to say how an author's experiences transform into art. In Clemens' writings from 1895 onward, however, we can watch while he repeatedly tries and fails to make something of these experiences that were so vitally important to him. And finally, we can see him fuse and transform them into a culminating work of art. The book that we know as The Mysterious Stranger. So, again, how do we know the author's main point? Using AS, all those sisters. Here is a however, and however indicates the author's main idea, and however, we can watch while he repeatedly tries fast to make something of these experiences that were so vitally important to him, and finally, we can see him fuse and transform them into a culminating work of art. Right? So, in short, passage 1, author points out that social problems are more important than personal problems that enabled him to make such a great masterpiece. Second author points out that his personal problems were transformed into a culminating work of art. Now let's take a look at two questions. First one, the author of passage 2 would most likely view the contributory causes mentioned in line 6 as personal experiences that the author of passage 2 points out that his personal problems were transformed into masterpiece. So which one had conveys that idea? Well, let's take a look at one by one. A, did not influence Clement's literary output significantly. Well, his personal problems did influence Clement's literary output significantly. B, affected the Clemens early rather than late in his career. Do we know that it affected early or late? We don't know. It didn't say that. Well, less important than political, moral, and economic factors. Well, less important? Yes, the first author said that, but the second author didn't mention that. So that's out. Well, little interest to literary critics, no comment about that. Well, eventually molded. Molded, in other words, transformed by Clemens into meaningful work. So the answer is D. It's clear? Again, use AS and then you see the main idea and that will take you to the right option. All right, question 12. The author of passage 1 would most likely regard the personal history, line 16, passage 2 as essential knowledge for any reader of Clemens' work. Well, first of all, the author of passage 1. So, author of passage 1 pointed out that the problem, his personal problem is important, but what is more important is the social problems, moral conflicts, economic problems, and political discourse that actually helped him create such a great masterpiece. So the author of passage 1 will most likely regard personal history. Is it more important? Well, less important. It is important, but it's less important. Which one has that idea? Essential knowledge for any reader. Any reader doesn't say that. It doesn't really compare between the two. More distressing, so it's not really related. More distressing than the personal difficulties experienced by Henry Adams. No comment about the comparison between the two. Inconsistent with the tone and character of Clemens' literary output. No comment about the tone and character of literary output. Less important than public events as influence on Clemens' writing. Less important than public events as an influence on Clemens' writing. That's exactly what the first author pointed out, emphasized, and instrumental in making Clemens a unique American writer. Doesn't really say it's instrumental. So, all right, so we used two strategies and analyzed these passages and got the main ideas and pick the right choices. Again, use AS and you will never make a mistake to pick the right choice. Now let's take a look at the second strategy, BS. Yes?